All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Public Safety Committee meeting. I'm going to exempt from the saying of the pledge because most of us said it in the last meeting, so we will move along into our agenda. First thing I'm going to do is introduce our speaker, and then I will call for an executive session. So I will like to welcome Dr. Michael Newpuff, who is with our new jail physician. I want to thank you publicly for taking on that role and playing making a huge impact in the first couple weeks you've been with us. We really appreciate you and all that you've done for us.
Thank you.
Sheriff, do you have anything you want to add in public session before we get to executive session?
I'll wait till executive session.
Okay, so with that being said, I will welcome a motion. I'll look for an appropriate motion to discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation.
And we want a promotion of a particular person or persons.
Yes, correct. As the motion by Legislator Chesborough, you can't vote on this. Second by Legislator Trudell. All in favor from the Public Safety Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stands approved. Okay, we're in executive session. Under Sheriff, not to put you on the spot, but the committee. Who? No. No, I actually gained to him that. Did you guys get the resolution? Can somebody give Wilbert and Margaret copy of the resolution? Sure. Sheriff, could you please explain the resolution in front of us, capital project number 100?
Thank you. I don't have a nice PowerPoint like the doctor has, unfortunately.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to give Richard one too.
No.
Richard, you need a copy of the resolution.
What we have is, some of you may be familiar with it, the current records management program that the entire Sheriff's Department uses is a state program, SJS. JS it's called. That program, the state stopped supporting it. They came up with it years ago. They've been supporting it, making the changes, upgrading the software. I believe last year sometime, for 2 years they've been telling us that they're going to stop supporting it. Last year they transferred everybody out of that division. 2 of those employees still work somewhere in Albany, so we have been able to get them and get some help when we've had problems with the system. But 2 years ago, when 911 was looking to upgrade their records management and their computer-aided dispatch, I believe they came to you, and the sheriffs also were involved in the initial plan to buy a server and the software from a company called Spillman that could put all the records management in one place, and then when you use the system, everything comes back. There's one central point as opposed to numerous different databases for everything that's used within the Sheriff's Department and the jail. When the administration with the Sheriff's Department was changing, the previous administration put the brakes on it, and they said, we're not going to deal with this because we don't want to stick the next administration with whatever they decided. We got in January. For the last 3 or 4 months, we've been meeting several times with Spillman, several different places, and with 911 about if this is the right program that we should be replacing the old system with. I think we've made the decision that it is something that we need. It is currently being used in 9 counties. I have a list of them in here, but I know like St. Lawrence, Jefferson, Cayuga, Tompkins. It's kind of the middle of the state all chose Spillman. The advantage we have of going with Spillman, even though it's a very expensive package, is that we already have the servers because that's what 911 went with 2 years ago. So we would use their same computer servers. The software would just get put onto it. So when a dispatcher gets a call and he starts intaking information that's going in the same system that the officer is responding to the call and have to do the reports he's using, it's also the same system that when he goes to book, or if a suspect goes to booking, it would be inputted in the system there. So an officer sitting in the car would be able to take the suspect information, move it to a report, and use it. When he goes to booking, that information would be in there. So it's just a central database and records management system for the entire sheriff's department. It also would include Fulton, Central Square,
Pulaski.
Phoenix, Pulaski.
Fulton.
They would all utilize it. The only ones that wouldn't would be the Oswego city. They did replace their system last year with a different system. But everybody else would all be in that central records management.
SUNY Oswego's with them too.
SUNY Oswego is in, I think, a state one, or I don't know. So those two law enforcement agencies, when everybody else in the county would be on this one system. And we would also have access, if we wanted it with Jefferson County, we would be able to get their records. The other thing it does is even photographs from booking would all be in that system. So if an officer on the street stops somebody and they give him a fake name, when he pulls that record up, it's going to pull up this guy's history, his photographs, any information about him, anything in that system is all going to be in the one database.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to put this resolution forward from the Public Safety Committee. So a motion by Legislator Trudell, second by Legislator Potter. Discussion. And this can go into the other committee members too.
I'll go ahead.
Go, Legislator Chesborough, and then Legislator Trudell.
Now, with the information going right from the get-go, right up to the report, that would mean that we would be saving time with the officer doing reports and being able to get him back out on the street? Or does he
Absolutely.
still have to do stuff? Okay.
No, I would say when they're doing reports, information, like I said, instead, a lot of times now, if they're using one database to get information, they have to close that or minimize it, open another screen, go into a different database, log into it. With this system, everything would be one database, one records reporting system.
Legislator Trudell.
I'll be voting in favor of it. And when we go to spend $1.3 million, I'm pretty skeptical right off the bat when this was something that came out of wherever. There was a significant amount of discussion at the public safety meeting and subsequent to that too. The undersheriff, we asked quite a few questions, et cetera. This does integrate with our 911 at the public safety meeting. Our director of 911, 911 was there, and they already used the Stillman. Already talked about the process. The salesman, just for lack of another, the representatives from Stillman Company were there as well, and answered a tremendous amount of companies. So I kind of dug because I'm no IT person, and this to some degree is an IT issue. But I think from my perspective, they answered all the questions that I had, and we're spending $1.3 million. I'm in favor of this. I think it's going to do very, very well for us and do what we need.
I actually, before we get to Legislator Klein, to dovetail off from what you just said, Legislator Trudell, I just got off the phone on the way here today with the 911 director, who was concerned because he was in a meeting and he couldn't be here to discuss this matter as well. But we'll kind of be the ahead of the ball, if you will, here, ahead of the curve on this, because we need this. Like you said, nine counties have it already. 4 of them are going to have to go to this. They're going to be going to this same thing. We really don't have that much of a choice. But when it's all said and done, we're ahead because we have the servers already. It's going to make life a lot easier between 911, the road patrol, and everything. So it's the right fit at the right time. Legislator Klein.
Under Sheriff, just a quick question. Actually, one for you and one for Phil. This proposal that involves Phoenix, Central Square, Pulaski, et cetera, Fulton, whatever, that's going to benefit them also, correct?
Yes.
They offered any financial assistance to us? And we asked them, let me ask that.
I was not involved in that early part because as I said, this has been going on about 2 years. And since it got to this point, it became, we need it. And I have not gone to them and asked them for financial assistance on it.
I was under the impression that they could use it, but this is just for us currently.
No.
No, it's gonna bring everybody together. In fact, the system that we're using now, SJS system, is gonna be, IT is concerned that this is gonna crash at any minute, and we're not gonna be able to retrieve any data. It'll be lost. Oswego City PD went with another program, but the system they went to is also about, they're not gonna back it up anymore. So they're gonna be forced to buy another system, and it'll make sense. They'll just end up coming on board with us. In fact, it's probably gonna happen at the same time. So we'll probably be countywide with the exception of campus police, and I believe they will do the same thing right after. This was already in process before we started here, and John and I were, the undersheriff and I were a little concerned that we're jumping on something $1.3 million without really being educated about it, so we kind of put the brakes on it. And unfortunately for us, Mike Backus, with his other project there with the records management system, he had hired a consultant. He brought that consultant in, and he jumped on our project, this project, and asked the questions that we weren't sure about. He assured us that this is the right system to go with. So we were glad because we didn't know what to ask, and he assures us that this is the way to go also. So I mean, like I say, I think this was a decision that was, if you ask Kevin Foley, it was something that probably should have been done when you approved the money for 911 to go forward with it, but it just didn't happen.
And the individual with the sheriff's department at the time, this is another thing that Kevin was talking to me today with me today about, was the individual from the sheriff's department at the time was locking step with them, and then all of a sudden the brakes were put on at that side. So it's really, it should have been done then, but we're picking it up and running with it now. And to Richard's point, with the individual outside jurisdictions, and maybe the sheriff and the undersheriff can add in more here, this isn't, yes, it's gonna benefit them, but it's really gonna benefit us more, because now we'll have one countywide system that the sheriff's office will be able to obtain reports just from logging in and getting the reports off there. Otherwise, they have to call those individual agencies and wait for those reports to physically get faxed or emailed to them, and that'll delay investigations and it'll delay whatever, you know, the information we're waiting for.
And their input is probably such a small part of it that
Yes.
I don't know that our cost would change if we deleted them from the program. I mean, it's something we could ask, but we want everybody in one database, as many people as we can get in there, so that everything is in one spot.
Chairman,
Well, I think Richard had one more question.
do you have one more question? Sorry. go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I said that at the beginning, but probably forgot by now. Phil, on the, 1,300,000, which is one devil pile of money, I think, but that's me. What does, how much of that unappropriated funds is left now? If we take it out of there, or isn't there enough to cover it?
Oh, no, that's why I'm okay with this. As part of you were here earlier, I put together sort of a three-phase plan to align our finances. Now that we have the report and know how much fund balance we have. And we've taken about, I think, 4.8 of our fund balance and used it to begin rebuilding reserves. I've got another 4 to 5 I left in there in fund balance to handle capital projects like this when I knew this one was coming, so that we've got that. We're still well above our thresholds of where we would not dip in that. We had a good year last year. My whole theme is if you have a good year, then you plan for when times are bad. So if you put money in reserve, you should use it to take care of capital projects so that you're not going back to the taxpayer for the moment.
Chairman?
Well,
Yeah.
I got another question. Defer to Phil first.
Yeah, well, sure. Because other municipalities will be using this, I just, by coincidence, I have a meeting with the state's shared services person tomorrow. And I'm gonna talk this project over with her to see if it's eligible for any shared services monies as well. So we might be able to get some of that back.
Chairman had a question, then we'll get to you. You're on the list.
Well, thank you, Phil, because I thought we had talked about that. And I guess just to be sure, I would love to be able to defer some of these costs to the local municipalities, but it doesn't necessarily cost us any less if we do so. We still gotta pay the 1.3. And to the sheriff and the other sheriff point, that we're all on the same page. That's it.
Legislator Papaya, then.
If the city of Oswego is using their own system, isn't there gonna be a delay, whether they try to get information from the system or we try to get information from them?
Gonna be the current situation that we have right now with the city of Oswego only. It won't be the current situation that we have
For the
the rest of the county.
Right.
Now it would be the rest of the county and it'll be that. So, and I'll remind you, the city of Oswego is just a small portion of the county where now we have all encompassing. Under sheriff, I don't know if you want to add any more to that.
Yeah, it would be, I think you pretty much said it exactly. It would be exactly what we still have. So we would have
He
to
doesn't
call
know
them
anyone,
and get
doesn't know everyone's
records.
gonna be in that
Yeah,
situation.
so it would have been nice if they were included, but because they did it already, I think as the sheriff said, he may have had some conversations that I don't know what they went to or how well that's working for them. They may turn around and look to add a portion to this, because it does look like Spillman, which is a Motorola company, is probably the company that almost everybody in the state is probably gonna start going to. And the more they get on there, the more information that will be available in the system.
Go ahead, legislature.
I just wanted to ask, how are the reoccurring costs compared to the last?
So, that's actually what I was just going to say. We actually have $734,000 worth of maintenance that's already built into this, so we're prepaid for 10 years. It'll be a 10-year maintenance agreement that's included in this.
So the project is costing 600,000, but the maintenance is what's costing.
Right, because we have maintenance that we have to pay on all of our servers and everything else as it is.
Right.
This way, we're just paying the one up front.
Then what, every year, what's the reoccurring after the 10 years, what was the reoccurring?
It's 4% increase from the $81,633. So right now, the way that the maintenance is designed from, and I wish I had this stuff on the PowerPoint, but I don't. First year's free for maintenance. Second year is $81,633. That goes up to 5%, but for each reoccurring year. But because we're going with the 10 years, 9 payments worth of maintenance, we're locked in at the $81,633. So we have that over 10 years. After that, we only go up 4% instead of 5%.
Was the first year free that they started implementing it, or after?
The first year that we actually
Actually, yeah.
go live. Go live.
This is, I don't know if Renee had a chance to, this also, did you have a chance to speak about it? This also applies to EMO and EMS, so.
So the EMS agencies just started their implementation of using CAD as well. I can just tell you from looking at the fire, EMS, and the law enforcement, the capabilities to communicate cross-agency is amazing with what they're offering, what their products are. Law will put a comment into a call, and we will be able to see that on the EMS mobile CAD. So just Spillman has continued to amaze me in the amount of capabilities that it allows us, especially cross-agency. So one of the things that wasn't mentioned, if I may, Under Sheriff, was that it's an unlimited amount of users. So if you bring on additional officers, that's not additional cost. So what we mentioned at Public Safety was that our probation officers could also have access to this. So I just see the amount of information that's able to be shared is going to cut down on a lot of legwork in a lot of different ways. It's my own assessment watching Spillman from the user and the outside.
I think that also addresses, Mr. Klein, your question about the other agencies. I don't think there was an added expense bringing them in, because there are no licensing fees. It doesn't matter how many people we have. That was kind of what their selling point is, we can roll it out to other agencies without an additional cost. I think, not positive on that, but I'll check. But I think that was why that was not.
I think they were so insignificant with the overall number that they just decided to include that.
All right, so with that, we have to roll along here because we're running up on meetings here. So will the Public Safety Committee, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, stands adjourned. Please, if you're on the Public Safety Committee, please sign that. Motion, yeah, and then a motion to adjourn.
Motion
By
adjourned.
Legislator Klein, second by Legislator Potter, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, we're adjourned.